In Raccoon City, Dr. James Marcus, the brilliant founder of the Umbrella Corporation, devoted his life to finding a cure for his daughter Alicia, who suffered from a rare and rapid aging disease. Desperate to save her, he worked tirelessly in his laboratory and also preserved her likeness and voice as a precaution, fearing she might not survive.
And even as he worked desperately to create a cure, the young girl's father would record his daughter.
His research eventually led to the creation of the T virus, a groundbreaking discovery that had the potential to cure countless human ailments. The treatment was a success, reversing Alicia's condition and restoring her health. Encouraged by this miracle, Umbrella began distributing the T virus as a revolutionary medicine that promised to change the world.
T virus had a myriad of applications, treating 1,000 different diseases.
Sometime later, a young boy who had taken the T virus-based medicine was traveling in a sky pod when he suddenly began choking on a peanut. As panicked adults rushed to help, the boy's body reacted violently. Within moments, he transformed into a savage creature and attacked everyone around him. By the time the pod reached its destination, every passenger inside was dead. Marcus's business partner, Dr. Alexander Isaacs, quickly covered up the tragic event to protect the company's reputation. Marcus, horrified by what his creation had become, insisted the virus must be destroyed, while Isaacs saw it as a powerful tool that could be weaponized and controlled. Their disagreement escalated until Isaacs ordered Wesker to kill Marcus. After Marcus's death, Isaacs took 50% ownership of the Umbrella Corporation, with the remaining half belonging to Alicia. He also gained guardianship of Alicia, securing full control over both her and the company.
Dr. Isaacs created a powerful artificial intelligence.
Under Isaacs, Umbrella became a global powerhouse. To manage its vast operations, he created an artificial intelligence named the Red Queen, modeled after Alicia using Marcus's old recordings. A decade later, an outbreak struck Raccoon City. The government bombed the city, but the airborne virus spread across the world within days, wiping out most of humanity.
The viral outbreak spread across the world within days.
Years later, the last remnants of humanity gathered for a final stand against the Umbrella Corporation, but it turned out to be a trap. A grown-up Alice emerged from an underground hatch into the silent ruins of Washington, D.C. The city lay in ruins, its buildings shattered and debris scattered everywhere. While searching for water, she came across a pool and knelt to drink, but a massive creature suddenly burst from the water, lunging at her. Its leg was chained, limiting its reach. Alice fought back, keeping her distance as the creature thrashed against the chain, then pulled away and continued her journey through the desolate wasteland. Alice searched the destroyed buildings for weapons, but found very little. As she moved through the ruins, the ground began to shake, and a winged creature burst from the rubble. She fled in a nearby jeep, maneuvering to make the monster crash into another vehicle. For a moment, she thought she had escaped, but the creature was still following her. It tore the roof off the jeep and struck at her with its tail. Alice accelerated, forcing it into another collision, then turned the vehicle itself into a weapon, driving straight into the creature and pinning it down. She set off the explosives inside the jeep and escaped just before the blast destroyed the monster. A siren sounded soon after, followed by a hidden camera scanning her. Tracking the signal, Alice discovered a bunker filled with weapons, but no people. A fax machine began printing the words, "Hello, Alice," repeatedly, and screens lit up to reveal the Red Queen, who claimed she was no longer loyal to Umbrella and needed Alice's help to stop it.
No, quite the opposite. I want you to stop me. To stop me. I want you.
The Red Queen's warning came just in time for Alice to avoid another attack from an undead creature. Acting quickly, she took down the monster and decapitated it within seconds. The AI then informed her that humanity had only 48 hours left. To save the remaining humans, Alice needed to return to Raccoon City and reach Umbrella's main laboratory, the Hive. There, she could find an airborne antidote capable of wiping out the T virus and everything infected by it. When Alice asked why the Red Queen was helping her, the AI replied that she would find her answers once she reached the Hive. Before disconnecting, the Red Queen set a timer on Alice's watch and told her to make things right.
Make it right.
Alice set off immediately, driving toward the city. Along the way, she encountered a roadblock lined with spikes that shredded her tires and sent her car crashing. Nearby, she noticed an Umbrella motorcycle, but before she could reach it, a soldier ambushed her and ordered her to step back. As she moved, she triggered a trap and was hoisted upside down. A group of soldiers surrounded her and began beating her while she hung helplessly. Despite the disadvantage, Alice fought back, grabbed one of the soldiers' guns, and took down most of them. She then drew a small gun hidden in her boot, shot another attacker, and freed herself by snapping the rope. Finally, she turned and shot the last soldier, ending the fight and breaking free. When Alice tried to use the umbrella motorcycle, it delivered an electric shock that knocked her unconscious. When she woke up, she found herself locked in a cell with several other captives. Soon after, Isaacs appeared and revealed that the version of him she had killed earlier was only a clone. He told her that he had destroyed all of her remaining clones and kept their heads as trophies. Isaacs then demanded that she explain why she was going to Raccoon City and who had given her that information.
Someone told you something, didn't they?
When Alice refuses to speak, the cell doors open, and she realizes they are inside a massive umbrella tank, being chased by thousands of undead. The guards chain her hands to the back of the vehicle, forcing her to run behind it to stay alive. When one of the undead gets close, she fights it off, but knows she cannot last long. Taking advantage of a distracted guard, she hides beneath the tank and pulls him down when he leans over, leaving him to be devoured. She climbs onto the tank, defeats another guard, and throws him to the horde as well. Isaacs then emerges, leading to a brutal hand-to-hand fight. Both land several heavy blows, but Alice eventually gains control, using a rope to strike his head against the tank. Even as more undead attack, she fends them off quickly. Isaacs drags her back into the fight, but she locks him in a chokehold until he's forced to unlock her restraints. He strikes again, yet she regains the advantage and nearly kills him before another tank opens fire. Amid the chaos, Alice spotted another umbrella motorcycle stored inside the tank. Seizing the moment, she cut off Isaac's hand and used it to unlock the vehicle's biometric system. As she sped away, the tank's weapons opened fire, but she skillfully dodged the blasts and managed to escape. The remaining soldiers quickly assisted Dr. Isaacs inside the tank. Hours later, Alice arrived at the ruins of Raccoon City, where a massive crater now marked the city's center. Back at the Hive, Wesker noticed her approach and ordered the activation of maximum security. As Alice rode through the deserted streets, a falling pole struck her motorcycle, throwing her to the ground and knocking her unconscious. Alice wakes up to find a man named Doc preparing to inject her with something. Acting fast, she stops him and takes him hostage, just as a group of armed survivors enters the room. Before things escalate, Claire appears and tells everyone that Alice is an ally.
Put it down, please, before he tries to shoot the both of us.
What's in this?
Pure adrenaline.
Put it down, now.
The group goes up to the rooftop and sees Isaacs coming toward them, with 2 armored tanks and a large crowd of undead following behind. As they try to plan their next move, Alice suddenly collapses from exhaustion. Doc gives her some medicine, and after resting for a while, she recovers. She then agrees to help defend their base in return for help reaching the Hive and finding the antidote.
We save these people, and then we go together.
Their supplies were running low, but they still had several barrels of gasoline left. Using what they could find, the group built simple catapults and traps to prepare for the attack. Claire showed Alice around the camp, explaining their setup and resources. During their talk, Alice warned her that there might be an imposter among them and told her not to trust anyone completely.
What are you saying?
Watch your back.
When night comes, Isaacs and his army attack. The defenders light one of their catapults and launch a flaming projectile, destroying one of the tanks. Isaac stops the other tank and releases a survivor from inside to draw the undead closer. When the creatures start chasing her, Alice opens the gate to rescue her, while the others fire at the approaching horde.
Come on!
Wait.
As the survivor nears safety, the tank fires a shell that kills her and breaches the gate, letting some undead inside. Claire and Doc fight to contain them, but Isaacs orders his men to fire again, causing an explosion that throws them back. The team retaliates by dropping heavy debris from above. Isaacs ordered his gunner, Lee, to fire at the rooftop to stop their attacks. Down below, the group battles to keep the barricade from collapsing. They manage to kill many creatures, but one of their own is bitten and dies. Realizing the defenses won't hold, they retreat upstairs, pour gasoline down over the lower floors, and ignite it, burning the entire wave of undead. ziplines to the ground and moves toward the tank, shooting as she advances. Lee tries to fire at her from the turret, but she hides, climbs onto the tank, and pours gasoline into a vent before setting it ablaze. Flames erupt inside. When a soldier opens the hatch, she shoots him immediately. Lee emerges, and they fight hand to hand. He overpowers her and knocks her off the tank, but before he can finish her, an undead attacks him from behind. While he's distracted, Alice shoots him and wins the fight. Inside the tank, Alice killed another creature and discovered 2 surviving soldiers, but Isaacs was nowhere to be found. When she returned outside, her group had arrived and was finishing off the remaining undead. They captured Lee, tied him to the tank, and sent him running toward the approaching horde, giving him a taste of his own cruelty as he died.
Guys,
Go.
there's something here you gotta see.
Soon after, they notice 2 more armies approaching the city and realize they have little time left. They decide to move quickly toward the Hive to find the cure before it's too late. The 2 survivors who escaped from the tank join their group and offer to guide them through the safest route. Together, the team makes their way toward a massive pit that leads underground, not knowing that Isaacs is observing them from a distance and that Wesker is tracking their every move through the Red Queen's cameras. When they reach the bottom of the pit, they are suddenly attacked by dog-like mutants hiding in the dark. Gunfire breaks out as the team tries to defend themselves and find cover. They manage to kill several of the creatures, but one of their own is caught and torn apart as the others are forced to run deeper into the pit to survive. After escaping the first wave, the group arrives at a steep cliff and jumps into the water below to get away. Several mutated dogs leap in after them, swimming fast and closing the distance. The survivors struggle to reach the opposite shore, but before they can all make it, one of their members is caught and killed by the creatures. The rest of the group keeps moving, running as the horde follows close behind. They finally reach a tunnel that leads into the Hive, where the dogs stop chasing them and refuse to go any farther. Inside the facility, Wesker instructs the Red Queen to seal the main entrance, forcing the survivors to move quickly through the narrow corridor. As they run, an undead creature attacks Alice from the side. She fights it off with effort and manages to trap it behind a metal door that closes and crushes it. Moments later, the Red Queen appears on a nearby screen and shows them a recording from an Umbrella meeting held before the global outbreak. In the footage, Isaacs outlines his plan to release the T-virus, destroy most of humanity, and allow only Umbrella's senior officials to survive so they can rebuild the world under their control.
I propose that we end the world.
The Red Queen explains that she is unable to directly harm any Umbrella employee, which is why she needs Alice's help to stop them. She gives Alice an earpiece to stay in contact and warns that one of the team members is secretly working against them. Alice listens, but decides to move on without saying anything, focusing on the mission ahead.
Time is running out, Alice. You have to hurry.
Meanwhile, outside the city, Isaacs encounters another Umbrella tank. He orders one of the soldiers to follow Alice into the Hive, but when the soldier refuses, Isaac stabs him repeatedly and takes control of the tank himself.
Thank you.
Alice's group moves into a long hallway where a giant ventilation fan blocks their way forward. Since the power is off, the blades remain still, allowing Alice to carefully squeeze between them and reach the other side safely. The rest of the group begins to follow one by one, moving slowly and cautiously. Just as the last of them starts crossing, the power suddenly comes back on, and the fan starts spinning rapidly. The team rushes to get through, managing to make it across just in time before the blades become too fast to pass.
Someone's watching us.
Wesker watches through the security cameras and reverses the fan's direction to pull them back in. The strong wind drags at them, and the group holds on to nearby metals to resist being sucked toward the blades. One woman loses her grip and starts sliding backward. Alice quickly reaches out and grabs her hand, trying to pull her to safety, but the force becomes too strong. Despite her efforts, the woman is pulled into the spinning fan just before the power shuts down again. Elsewhere, Isaacs drives toward the city, leading another huge horde of undead behind him. Meanwhile, Alice and the survivors crawl through a narrow ventilation passage, using Alice's digital map to guide their way. The space is tight and filled with echoes of their movement. Without warning, the floor beneath them suddenly opens, and one man slips through, falling down a deep shaft. He manages to grab the edge of a nearby door, but it quickly shuts, crushing his fingers and sending him plunging into the darkness below. More trapdoors open in different spots, causing several others to drop into separate tunnels. Alice falls into a dimly lit laboratory, scattered with corpses lying across tables and the floor. The air is cold and still. She hears faint movement in the shadows and carefully looks around, ready for an attack. Moments later, another teammate, Razor, crashes into the same room. They move together, checking corners and scanning for exits. Suddenly, one of the bodies twitches and starts to move, distracting Razor just long enough for a second creature to appear from behind and kill him instantly. During the struggle, Alice was knocked to the ground but quickly regained her footing. She fired both of her guns repeatedly until the creature fell. Moments later, it began to move again and slipped into the shadows, tracking the beam of her flashlight. When she dropped the light, the creature lunged toward it, drawn to the glow. Acting fast, Alice threw a chain around its body and tightened it until the creature was trapped. She then ran, forcing it to chase her, but the chain held firm and stopped it in its tracks. As it struggled to break free, Alice approached and drove a blade into its skull, ending the fight. Startled by a touch on her shoulder, Alice quickly turned, ready to defend herself, but stopped when she saw it was only Doc. She took a breath of relief, and together they left the lab.
If the target continues on her present course, she'll be here in under 7 minutes.
Elsewhere, Wesker instructed the Red Queen to awaken the real Isaacs, revealing that the one commanding the undead army outside was just another clone.
Wake them now.
Meanwhile, the clone Isaacs attempted to descend into the pit near the hive, but his tank became stuck halfway down. Within moments, the area was surrounded by creatures, closing in from all directions. Deep inside the hive, Alice and Doc continued moving forward until they came across a storage bag filled with weapons left behind by her previous team. With less than 20 minutes remaining on the clock, Alice activated a nearby control panel to descend farther into the facility. As the platform moved downward, they passed through long rows of Umbrella executives sealed inside cryogenic pods, preserved and waiting to awaken once humanity had been wiped out. Seeing this filled Alice with anger, and she packed several explosives before she and Doc stepped off into a wide chamber below.
What are they?
Cryogenic storage.
At the same time, the real Isaacs woke up and asked Wesker if the cleansing process had been completed. Wesker informed him that there was an emergency, and Isaacs immediately returned to his work. Realizing he had no choice, the clone Isaacs climbed out of the tank and began running across the open ground, leading the horde away from it as the creatures chased after him.
Over here!
Elsewhere, Claire found herself locked inside a glass chamber. Thinking quickly, she used gunpowder from a bullet to make a small explosion and broke free, unaware that Wesker was nearby, silently watching her. Alice and Doc make their way across a narrow bridge suspended over a pool of water and step into the main control room, where the real Isaacs is already waiting. With only a few minutes left before time runs out, he stands holding the antidote and warns that he will destroy it unless Alice drops her weapon. She slowly sets her gun down, trying to stay calm, but then Doc reveals himself as the traitor, pulling his weapon and ordering her to hand over the detonator too. Moments later, Wesker enters the room, dragging Claire with him as a hostage.
She placed explosives in high command cryotubes.
Alice scanned the room carefully, assessing every possible move she could make, but Isaacs warned her not to try anything. He reminded her that his enhanced reflexes and implanted systems gave him a clear advantage. Then he revealed a truth she had never known. She was not the original Alice, but a clone created from the real Alicia's DNA. At first, she refused to believe him, but the revelation explained why her memories had always felt incomplete and fragmented.
Which brings us to you. Oh, come now.
Just then, an older woman in a wheelchair enters the room. It is the real Alicia, now frail and visibly weakened by illness. She admits that she has always wanted Isaacs dead, but never had the strength to stop him herself. However, she still controls half of the company's ownership. Using that authority, she immediately fires Wesker from his position, which allows the Red Queen to act freely. In response, the AI closes a heavy blast door on Wesker, crushing his leg and trapping him where he stands.
You're fired.
Doc raises his gun and tries to shoot Alice, but the weapon only clicks. The chamber is empty. Alice had already removed the bullets earlier, having suspected that he might betray her. Realizing what happened, Alice rushes at Doc while Isaacs takes the chance to escape. Claire tries to stop him, but her shot misses as he runs out of the room. A short but intense struggle breaks out between Alice and Doc. She quickly gains the upper hand, knocking him to the ground and leaving him injured. Claire steps forward and ends it with a single shot, killing him for his betrayal.
Don't worry. I'm not gonna kill you.
Alice picked up the detonator and placed it in Wesker's hand, knowing it would activate as soon as he lost consciousness. The real Alicia told her clone that releasing the antidote would wipe out everything infected by the T-virus, which also meant the clone would die once it was released. With no time to lose, the clone Alice and Claire went after Isaacs through the Hive's lower levels, while Alicia stayed behind, connecting her mind to the Hive's central system and uploading her final memories before her death. Alice and Claire corner Isaacs near the elevator, ready to stop him once and for all. When they open fire, he dodges every bullet with ease, his cybernetic upgrades making him faster and stronger than either of them can handle. As the elevator begins to rise, Isaacs attacks, knocking Claire unconscious and turning his attention toward Alice. She fights back with whatever she can reach and manages to push him close to the edge. However, he reverses her move and traps her instead. As the elevator continues to ascend, Alice kicks him hard and leaps aside just before it reaches the top. Claire wakes up moments later and rejoins the fight, but Isaacs quickly overpowers her again. He then turns back to Alice, landing several heavy blows before throwing her into a corridor filled with laser traps. Moving quickly along the walls and ceiling, Alice dodges the deadly beams and counterattacks whenever she finds an opening. Isaac slams her through a wall, but she manages to injure his leg and keep fighting. As the laser grid activates once more, Isaacs grabs Alice's hand and begins crushing her fingers. At that moment, she drops a pin, and his eyes widen as he realizes she had planted a grenade in his jacket earlier. The explosion blasts through him, leaving him badly damaged and giving Alice the chance to grab the antidote.
I made you.
Big mistake.
With only moments left, Claire tells Alice to go on without her. Reluctantly, Alice leaves and escapes the Hive, determined to release the antivirus and end everything. Just as she's about to break the vial, Isaacs appears and snatches it from her hand. Before he can pull the trigger, his clone arrives, enraged after realizing he is not the real Isaacs. The clone attacks, stabbing Isaacs several times and killing him. The fight leaves them both distracted, and within seconds, the undead swarm around and consume them.
I'm me. He's not me.
Inside the Hive, Wesker's injuries finally catch up to him, and he dies, activating the detonator Alice had placed earlier. The explosives go off, destroying the entire facility and killing Alicia along with it. Outside, Alice recovers the vial of antivirus from Isaac's body and releases it into the air. The viral mist spreads quickly, wiping out the nearby undead before she collapses from exhaustion. Sometime later, Alice wakes up and sees that Claire has survived. The Red Queen appears and explains that before Alicia died, she uploaded all her memories into Alice's mind, giving her the childhood she never had. Knowing it will take years for the antivirus to cleanse the world completely, Alice rides away on a motorcycle, ready to continue fighting until humanity is safe again.
When the T-virus spread across the Earth, it did so at the speed of the modern world. It could take years for it to reach every corner of the Earth. Until then, my work is not done.